Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Daily Manchester United. It's your podcast right after the Europa League semi-final. And I'll tell you something, that was a hard 70 minutes then followed up by one of the best 20 minutes you think you'll ever see from players in a Manchester United shirt. This episode, of course, is brought to you on the Global Sports Podcast Network. My name is Kieran. Tom's joining me alongside. It's your same duo that brought you the preview. It's time for the review. Tom, where do we start with that? I suppose we have to start from the start, but wow, talk about Jekyll and Hyde.
I mean, that was intense, to be fair. Perhaps more intense than we expected. But I thought Bilbao had a very strong start to the match. You know, that 45 minutes where there was like one or two chances, one of which they managed to get away, which was a very good goal. I'm just trying to find the goal scorer for it. I think it was like Hugo Guizar or whatever it's called.
Yeah, how Guizar, I think it was. I think it's Basque, it might be. Which is, yeah. But anyway, yeah, as you say, it's a wonderful finish from him. But it all comes about from bobbling around at the back. It's Maguire with a wayward pass to no one. And the first shot is blocked. And then it falls to João Guizar. And it's a wonderful finish. Absolutely wonderful. And, you know, you could say, does Casemiro turn away? That stops the block. I mean, I think at a goal like that, it doesn't really matter. It was a wonderful strike. And for 45 minutes, it was like Bilbao were the home team.
Yeah, that's the kind of football that they've been trying to play throughout the first leg. I mean, to be fair, the first 20 minutes was what they were doing, I thought, in the whole of the first half at Old Trafford. And it just came too little too late, really, for them. And that would have made it more of a game for Manchester United as what it had been for them against Lyon and Real Sociedad. So you have to say, going into the second half, Ernesto Valverde had set up that Bilbao team, who were without four of their key players, two of which being the Williams brothers, out, of course, Danny Vivian, who was suspended. The ones who came in got on the job and they did earn their craft, to be fair, Kieran, because they set up like they were really, really organised. And going into the second half, they did look like they could just sneak another one, and then we definitely had a game on our hands, really, to just try and hold on and avoid the whole thing going into extra time. Because had it gone into extra time, Bilbao would have been encouraged by that.
Yeah, and it was just we were hanging on by a thread at that point. I mean, looking at the match stats, Athletic Club only had one shot on target. And I think that's what saved us in that first half. The fact that 11 shots that Athletic Club had, 5 of them recorded off target, 1 of them recorded on target. That means there's maths here involved. 5 blocked shots from United. So, yeah, we were under siege at Old Trafford, which is, you know, we've got a bit familiar with saying that, haven't we? The fact that we've been kept under siege at Old Trafford. But it really was. It was tough to watch. And some of the passing just wasn't working. There were wayward passes. There were bobbles. It was a lack of confidence. And, you know, a lack of confidence for a team that are going into a home leg 3-0 up on aggregate. It didn't make sense.
It didn't make any sense at all. There was too many cheap passes. I mean, none other than Harry Maguire, who gave the ball away for Bilbao's goal, which is very unlike him from what we've seen from him over the course of the season. But it was one of his worst games for some time, Harry Maguire. But luckily, the final 20 minutes of the match saved him. But we'll go on to that a little bit later. But yeah, I thought Harry Maguire didn't have a good game overall, I thouut
Dorgu struggled as well.
He did. He gave away too many. He gave away too many balls, really. They were just basically cheap passes, which he gave back to the opposition.
Yeah. And to be honest as well, Onana, he really only had one thing to do, and that was save a shot that, I mean, not many keepers are actually going to save. Let's be honest. He does get hands to it, but it's not enough to get it away. And maybe that calls into question, does it, you know, should he save it, should he not? Maybe not focus on that, but focus on the Garnacho chance, because so much has happened. I'm almost forgotten it. The Garnacho chance in the first half, he's one-on-one with the keeper and he tries to chip it, but it goes wide. And I'm thinking to myself, he's got to score that. In a chance like that, when we were under siege, absolutely backs against the ball, that has to be buried. Whether you dribble it around the keeper or whether he tried to chip it, it has to go in the back of the net.
At least get it on target is what I would say. I mean, maybe as what Robbie Savage was saying in commentary, go around the goalkeeper and just put it in. That's what, you know, I probably would have done in that moment. But if it was just a last second decision where he perhaps changed his mind and tried to be too clever, was Garnacho. United just didn't really produce anything. I mean, Dorgu took Fernandez's shot away when that ball. I can't remember who put it in. Was it Matsurawi who provided that pass?
Possibly.
Yeah, it might have
Possibly.
been.
I don't remember. But,
well, Dorgu took the ball off Fernandez. What would have been his? Because that ball, which was basically a square ball on the edge of the penalty area, which would have gone to Fernandez, except the fact that Dorgu took it away from him and trying to get a shot on goal, which was blocked.
Yeah, but I sort of think Dorgu, he's in front of Fernandez. So it's a kind of case of, I think Fernandez is expecting it, so he doesn't make a call to say my ball. So Dorgu just goes in and does what he thinks, right, no one else is on this. It's a nice little dribble, but he just can't do anything with it. And, Dorgu at this stage of his United career, not known for his goal-scoring abilities, you'd want the chance to fall to Fernandez even. But hey-ho, he didn't have the best game. I don't think the likes of Maguire and Lindelof had the greatest games today. I think we got away with it. And even Ugarte was a little bit quiet in this game. Casemiro was struggling to make his mark in the first half, and more on him later. And there was, three of that. Well, you'd say midfield, if you count the wing backs as the midfield. We're on a yellow card by, sort of 60 minutes, 70 minutes. So it was tough because at that point you've got both your wing backs on a booking, and that really promoted Athletic Bilbao to just exploit the wings and try and draw a foul from one of the wing backs.
Yeah, I mean, if I was Bilbao, I probably would have done that because that would have wound the likes of Dorgu and Matsurawi out, because Matsurawi got booked in the first half, which I thought they said it was an elbow, but his eyes were on the ball; they weren't on the player at all. So that's why I thought it was harsh. I think the one for Dorgu probably was warranted because it was a tackle from behind. It was late.
Casemiro's one is a yellow all day long.
Yeah, it was.
So that's a classic Casemiro Real Madrid tackle. That's just to break up the play and stop it. That is a yellow at the end of the day.
Well, that was him being an anchor. That's the anchor type of player that you would expect him to try and make a challenge on, even if it is a touch late.
Yeah, I mean, I think we sort of echoed our thoughts into half time. I just thought this is going poorly. I see Athletic Club absolutely taking us to the cleaners in the second half.
It did look like it, but I think from the moment when the substitutions were going to be made, because for once we went into the second half with a substitutes bench that could, in actual fact, make a difference. In previous matches, Kieran, when we had players who were either suspended or injured, not to mention Mainu, Mount, and Ahmad, we basically didn't have any reinforcements. Tonight, we clearly did. And the fact that Ahmad and Mainu and Mount came on, it was a totally different game. It's almost like it dilutes the whole game, but in a more positive fashion. It's a bit like when you see in an England friendly, let's say, you would usually see 4 or 5 substitutes come on around about the 60th minute, and the game just completely changes, and not particularly in a good way. Whereas in this match, the substitutes made a massive difference. It was a totally different game for Manchester United from there.
It was indeed, and a completely different second half to what maybe I expected. Well, maybe even second half of the second half. We'll talk more about that after this short ad break. We'll be back after this.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Your body is unique, and Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimize your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN 2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
The second half started a lot like the first ended, with Athletic Club on top, creating the better chances, but not being able to get either the shots on target or make meaningful impacts. And it was like that way, and sort of summed up to me, I think it was either 60th or 65th minute where Lindelof plays his pass all the way across the pitch, and he's stretching for it, catches the midfielder. I think he was lucky to get away without VAR having a look at it, considering how it's looking at these days when you take your feet off the ground. And then, as we say, Mason Mount and Ahmad substituted. I've got to get the exact minute because that's when United actually started to turn up. 62nd minute. The game just completely changed on its head. Wonderful substitutions. As Robbie Savage said on the commentary, proactive changes from Amorim turn this game on its head, Tom.
Absolutely wonderful from Ruben Amorim. That was probably the best changes he made since he came in. I mean, mind you, the changes he made for when we played against Lyon were fantastic. But if we were trailing the tie with half an hour to go and he made those changes and we got 3 or 4 goals that got us through to the final, would you have regarded that as one of the most inspiring decisions made by a manager?
Absolutely. That would go up there in terms of how comebacks go. Does it rank higher than PSG? No, because of the competition and their reputation. But certainly, this was one of the best 20 minutes of football I've seen in the United shirts for a long, long time. And that goes against saying about the Lyon game as well, where we just somehow managed to come back from 4-2 down. It's been a season where in the Europa League especially we've sort of brightened up after the hour mark and we turn up then. And Mounts with that lovely turn from the assist actually goes to Lenny Yoro. That turn, Makeda-esque turn to then find the bottom right-hand corner. I'm not ashamed to say it. I celebrated that goal. And I even apologised in a little group chat we have.
I was relieved, but that also reminded me of Kobe Mainoo's goal against Liverpool last season. Old Trafford. That was very similar to that, actually, thinking of it. But what a goal. And I'm so happy for Mason Mount to come off the bench and make a moment like that. Bearing in mind, he also scored at the weekend. It was a beautiful teamwork goal for the one he got over in Brentford. But this one was right out of the top drawer. Brilliant turn. And the fact he got the shot away so cleanly past the Bilbao goalkeeper. I'm trying to remember his name, actually, because I know Unai Simon was playing at the weekend, but he didn't feature in that game, did Simon? It was Julian Igarizabala.
Yeah.
That is quite a tongue twister, that one. But yeah, what a goal. And it just set United on their way. And it was mass relief because Bilbao were all over us throughout most of the match, really. And I know there's going to be non-Man United fans saying, well, you deserve to lose on the night. Maybe we did, but United turned up when it mattered most. We played those last 20 minutes like we should have been playing all season. If that was Arsenal doing that, or Liverpool doing that, or Chelsea doing that, or Newcastle doing that, people would just be blown away by it. And so they should when it comes to United.
And it just shows you how and why Amorim rates Mason Mount so highly and why he's been so aggrieved that Mount struggled with injuries at his time at Manchester United. And we saw a glimpse of what he can do. He was an absolute menace. Up and down the pitch, box to box, playing as up higher up the pitch. Him higher up the pitch with Bruno Fernandes dropping deep allowed the midfield some security, that holding midfield some actual security where they could play forward and play through it. Whereas, with Ugarte and Casemiro, they were slightly limited. And speaking of Casemiro, our second goal, I thought to myself, Casemiro, from set pieces, his headers have been, connecting, but off target. And I thought, he's actually scored from a header. It was from his shoulder. That's why he scored it. That's why he scored it from a set piece there, from Bruno Fernandes' free kick. And take nothing away, I thought, what a lovely looping header. Turns out it was a shoulder blade.
Yeah, it was, but they all count, don't they?
They do.
That's Bruno Fernandes' 19th assist this season. So he's now contributed to 38 goals, either as the goal scorer or the provider.
It's wonderful. So honestly, this is going down as his best Manchester United season purely because of how it's gone around him. The fact that we are bottom half of the Premier League and yet we're in a Europa League final. It's been a purple patch for him. Absolutely resilient and always there to try and pick up the pieces if no one else can. And speaking of picking up the pieces, you and I both got a prediction right. I know, shock, horror, Højlund scored. That was my prediction done. I think you said from 2 yards out. I'll give you that. It was about 1.5 yards out. And it almost bobbled away from him because it took a slight deflection on the way through, going through one of the Athletic Club's legs. Still, as you say, they all count. And a nice little moment with the selfie there. I wonder what brand that is going to launch out of that one.
I don't know whether the person who got that phone off is part of a particular brand or is sponsored by a particular brand. I don't know. maybe they'll ask Man United if they could sponsor them in the future. I don't know, but no, it was a brilliant moment for Højlund. I'm really happy for him. That I did say that his goal scoring record on Europe wasn't at all bad compared to how he'd been in domestically. But that was the kind of moment that he needed, really. And now we know obviously he's going to be starting in the final because he's the only recognised striker to do so. As Chidiroba is not registered in United's Europa League squad. But if he could have another match like that in Bilbao, then that's going to basically not recover from what's been a poor season for United because it hasn't been a good season. But when you get a trophy out of it, it kind of basically demonstrates the philosophy of what Manchester United is all about, is winning things. And I've said this on last night's episode, that football is about winning things. And if you win a trophy, that's what stays with fans forever.
Yeah, take 2017, for example. When we won the Europa League against Ajax, it was a massive occasion. The fact that Jose Mourinho was able to take this team to a European title. We got Zlatan and Ibrahimovic a Europa League that he'd never won before, so that was a lovely trophy added to his cabinet. United to do some wonderful things, and heck, even the FA Cup against Manchester City when we won that 2-1, Kobbie Mainoo getting the absolute plaudits for the goal. But you're right; those special moments really do mean a lot more when league-wise it's going really badly, and there's no other way to say it. I think all focus on the final, but it's essentially going to be another Premier League game, and unfortunately, that's where both United and Spurs have struggled this season. It's going to be another Premier League game. It's going to be tough, but I'll tell you what is tough as well is scoring from the halfway line whilst you've got a number 7 in a Man United shirt. And I saw Mason Mount's goal, and I thought that looks strangely familiar. Are we playing Wimbledon at this point? But what a finish!
Yeah, well, we've seen a few do that. We saw Scott McTominay do a similar one, didn't we, against City? That was the last game before lockdown. But yes, the David Beckham one against Wimbledon at Selhurst Park all those years back. Luckily enough, I was born, but I didn't quite see the goal live. I was too busy laying in my cot. But there you go. It was a wonderful goal, and I think that's the first time Mount has scored 2 goals in a match for Manchester United since he's joined, which is great. I'd love to know, when was the last time Mason Mount scored a brace for when he was at Chelsea?
Ooh, we'll have to trawl through this. We'll have to trawl back and come back to an answer with you. And I'm going to set you up now for probably what is the easiest question of the night. Tom, who's your man of the match? He's having to think about it. That's not good.
I am. I thought Bruno was fantastic. I thought I'm going to give it to Bruno. I think the way he's kept Man United in the match with the decisive passes that he did in the first half, and perhaps in the second when he got the set piece goal for Casemiro, has set United on the way. But I know a lot of people will get angry with me saying, "Why didn't you not say Mason Mount?" Well, because he was only on the field for less than half an hour, let's say. But I mean, Bruno Fernandes has had a lot of games where he has been man of the match, but I'm going to give it to Mount because that was by far his best performance in United shirt since he's joined.
It seems like a cop-out to give the man of the match to someone who was on the pitch for, as you say, half an hour. But honestly, without him, we'd still be 1-0 down. Honestly, he was absolutely wonderful. Changed the game completely. Him and Ahmad just changed the game completely. There was a boost of confidence. There was a boost of tenacity, aggression in the way that Manchester United were playing. He was all over the pitch as well in that half an hour. So I'm really looking forward to seeing, hopefully this can, if you pardon the pun, spur him on to the final, and hopefully we can get a good result there as well. And whilst I expected both Mount and Ahmad to make an appearance tonight, just to build their fitness, they'll probably make appearances now towards the Premier League. And whatever we need to, wrap Mason Mount in, is it bubble wrap? Is it, Kevlar? Whatever it is we need to do to protect him for that Europa League final, do it. But I'm going to put him as man of the match as well, because you need game changers. You need people who can change the game in the blink of an eye, and Mason Mount did absolutely that tonight. And yeah, this was not the episode I thought I was going to record 65, 70 minutes into the match, I'll be completely honest. But if there's one stark warning, is we will not get away with starting a match 70 minutes late against Tottenham in the final. It's not going to happen.
No. And I think Tottenham are the kind of team that go and get goals in the first half of matches, something which we have struggled all season. We did very well to get 3 goals in the first half in the first leg against Bilbao, but we haven't been doing that all the time. Whereas Spurs, I feel, are the kind of team that are more capable of doing that than we are. Answering our question about Mason Mount, when was the last time he got a brace before the Bilbao game this evening? It was on the 16th of October 2022. We scored both of Chelsea's goals in a 2-0 win at Aston Villa at Villa Park.
Wow, there you go. See, Tom's the encyclopedia behind the team now. We love him. It's a great signing. Almost as good as Mason Mount. Well, look, we've got the Europa League final 21st of May at 8 o'clock. Tottenham versus Manchester United for a chance to play in the Champions League next season. You know, crack your knuckles and whatnot. I was going to say the next Premier League game, but come on, really? We're really focused on that right now? Well, let's see, eh? What a match. What a performance for 30 minutes. And we're through to the final. We're coming back to Bilbao. And, well, let's see if there's a red card in the first half in that game as well. Well, thank you so much for listening. If you've enjoyed this podcast as well, make sure if you're listening on Spotify or on Apple, give us the rating. Be honest, we can take it, but we'd love it if it's 5-star. And if you're watching and listening on Apple or Spotify and you'd like to watch the podcast instead, I've got great news. We have a YouTube channel where you can watch all the episodes with our cameras and you can see our lovely faces. How wonderful of a treat for you. It's at a GSPN Daily Manchester United podcast on YouTube. And if you want to start a conversation with us, we're on social media. We are at GSPN Man United on Twitter and X. We're on Instagram, TikTok, and on Facebook. So join us, start an argument. I'm sure we'll come back with an answer. In the meantime, thank you so much to Tom for joining me on today's episode. I've been Kieran. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.